It now turns out that the orange vomit, Donald Jesus Trump, had ordered assassination instructions against the turtle, Mitch McConnell, Senate Minority Leader. Can you fucking believe this? You know, I said last week, and I've said it 100 times, just when you think things cannot possibly get any worse regarding this Trump monster, this Antichrist, this filthy pig, it gets worse. Assassination instructions? Oh my God. Now, this comes from a conservative mouthpiece named Scott Jennings. And, excuse me, Jennings was referring to a post on Saturday on Trump's toy, what's it called, Truth Social. And in that post, Trump escalated his long-standing fight with McConnell. Trump accused McConnell of opposing him, the Orange Vomit, because, according to the Orange Vomit, McConnell has a death wish. Opposing Trump means you have a death wish. It's just insane. No, I'm not going to repeat myself. It's just insane. This bullshit out of Trump on his so-called social media network came after the turtle voiced some support for changing the way Congress counts electoral votes. I still don't quite get that. I mean, once the states, if they follow the law, once the states say, okay, we have 20 electoral votes for the winner of the election, what, it has to be counted again? All right, we have 50 states. Somebody has to sit there in the House chambers and go 1, 2, 3, 4. The entire electoral college should be burned to the ground. Of course, since it doesn't really exist, I'm not threatening to commit arson against anything, but it should disappear. It should disappear. On Sunday, yesterday, this guy, Scott Jennings, was on CNN, and he said Trump's post contained, quote, assassination instructions directed at McConnell, and said Trump used what Jennings says is blatant racism against McConnell's Chinese wife. Now, I've mentioned before that I think Elaine Chao is a sort of a, what do you want to call it, open pipeline to the Chinese government. But I certainly don't attack her for being Chinese, for God's sake. But, that's Trump. Jennings said this on CNN, quote, I mean, if you read that whole thing out loud, he's referring to the Trump post. If you read that whole thing out loud, if you were on the street and you heard someone muttering that on a street corner, you wouldn't say, let's hand this person the presidency or the Republican nomination for president. You would say, call 911, because it sounds like an unhinged, deranged person has gotten loose and is out on the street and may be a danger to themselves and others, end quote. Isn't this exactly what Hillary Clinton was saying 6-7 years ago? Huh? Yeah, I'll answer my question. Yes, it is. Exactly. What the fuck is wrong with us in this country that when somebody is blatantly X, Y, or Z, and we all see it, we say, well, no, it couldn't possibly be X, Y, or Z. I mean, nobody is that rotten and filthy to the core. But there was one. Well, there's millions, but there was one that got the presidency. Donald Jesus Trump. Anyway, back to Scott Jennings on CNN on Sunday. He added that the insults against McConnell were, quote, beyond the pale, end quote. Jennings also said that, quote, every Republican ought to be able to say so. This is not good for the party. It's not good for him, referring to the orange vomit, end quote. Well, hold on just a second, Mr. Jennings. In the first place, there is no Republican Party. Who in the hell are you talking about, Scott Jennings? Who? Are you talking about these fuckwads who run the Christian terrorist organization in the U.S. House and U.S. Senate? You call them Republicans? You think Ted Cruz is a Republican? You think Josh Hawley? You think this Marjorie Taylor Greene bitch? You think these people are Republicans? Oh my God. Scott Jennings, like so many pundits these days, you've got to understand something. Your Republican Party is fucking dead, my friend. It has been dead for some time now. Trump's not the one who killed it. I mean, he may have given the coup d'etat, but the Republican Party started killing itself 40 years ago during the Reagan administration, and it committed harakiri on December 15th, 2000. That's when the United States Supreme Court said that the state of Florida had no right to continue to count the votes in Bush v. Gore in the presidential contest. And the U.S. Supreme Court said, no, we're going to give the presidency to George W. Bush. So the presidency went to a guy who within 2 years was committing war crimes. So listen, Scott Jennings, your precious Republican Party is a rotting, fetid corpse. There's worms crawling all over it. It's gone, friend. What you have now is the Christian terrorist organization. Somebody needs to get word to Scott Jennings because I know he doesn't listen to me, but there it is. Jennings also talked a bit on CNN about this disgusting criminal, Senator Rick Scott, whose so-called health insurance company was responsible for the biggest Medicare fraud in the fucking history of the United States. But now he's a senator in Florida, of course. I wonder when the people in Florida are going to realize how their God, the Christian God, fucking hates them. You think? You say, could that be the reason that all this destruction and death has been visited upon Florida because of Ron DeSantis? No, come on, Malloy. That's impossible. That shit doesn't exist to begin with. No, it doesn't. But that's what the Christian terrorists have been telling us for decades. Anytime there's a natural catastrophe, it's because, well, you got gay people in your state. Well, it's because you let people of the same sex marry. Well, it's because you legalize pot. Well, it's because you let women control their own bodies. You fucking idiots. Where was I? Oh, yeah, Jennings also mentioned about Senator Rick Scott's hesitation to condemn the orange vomit. He said that Scott was, quote, likely unprepared for the question. What happened was Rick Scott was on CNN, too. He was on State of the Union. And the host yesterday was Dana Bash. And she asked Scott if Trump's comments were acceptable. And Rick Scott answered that, quote, it's never okay to be a racist, end quote. But he stopped short of pointing out the obvious, that Donald Trump saying this was just fucking horrifying. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.